dimineața și bun venit la o nouă ediție a emisiunii Forbes Forward. Astăzi vom discuta cu Alex Skouras, cofondator și managing partner al Alesonor, pe tema profitabilității și sustenabilității în cadrul proiectelor rezidențiale. Pentru început, dați-mi voie să vă spun că evenimentul este oferit de Forbes România în parteneriat cu One United Properties și este susținut de automobile Bavaria, Carrefour, Nespresso, TEILOR, Chronolink, CPI Property Group, Eli Parks România, Banca Transilvania și Garanti BBVA. Dați-mi voie să vă spun câteva cuvinte, să vi-l prezint și pe invitatul meu de astăzi, Alex Skouras, care este cofondator și managing partner al Alesonor, o companie specializată în dezvoltarea de comunități durabile, care are peste 21 de ani de experiență pe piața din România. Alex a absolvit Facultatea Tehnică din Atena și London School of Economics și coordonează operațiunile și dezvoltarea proiectelor imobiliare ale companiei Alesonor, începând din anul 2003. De asemenea, este membru fondator al ePower, companie din domeniul energiei regenerabile, al IQ Box și Cosmos Mobile din telecomunicații și al Wellness Solution, o companie care distribuie branduri sportive. Dar noi vom vorbi astăzi despre Alesonor, companie în cadrul căreia Alex conduce cel mai recent proiect, Amber Forest, un proiect sustenabil desfășurat pe o suprafață de 31 de hectare, cu utilizare mixtă, un proiect care cuprinde peste 700 de vile și apartamente inteligente NZEB, centru sportiv realizat în parteneriat cu Pescariu Sports and Spa, servicii educaționale, zonă comercială, din câte înțeleg, de 10.000 de metri pătrați și care are inclusiv servicii medicale. Proiectul este deja în desfășurare. Anul trecut deja s-au livrat primele vile din prima fază și, din câte înțeleg, deja s-au vândut peste 500 de locuințe verzi, deci din totalul de peste 700. Vom continua discuțiile în limba engleză, cu scuzele de rigoare pentru privitorii noștri care nu vorbesc limba, însă vom avea un follow-up al interviului pe platforma Forbes.ro în decursul acestei zile. So welcome, Alex, again, and sorry for the Romanian introduction, but we have to respect all our viewers. We'll continue with the Q&A in English. Welcome to our show. I hope you're well this morning.
Elmara, thank you for the invite. Pleasure being here. Everything is fine. Good week to everybody.
Thank you very much. I will go straight to the questions. I presented already your project, the project that you're working on, Amber Forest. So this is what Alesonor is developing right now, no? And
Indeed.
what can you tell me? What sets this project apart from other kind of residential projects located in the vicinity of Bucharest, because it's not right in Bucharest? Please.
So indeed, thanks for the introduction as well that you did earlier. I am here 21 years living permanently in Romania. I do understand everything. Unfortunately, I'm not in the level that I could be having this proper conversation to you within the Romanian language, but indeed we are here, and I'm here personally since 2003, where we started Alesonor, the real estate development activity of our group. We have seen all, and we have done all type of projects within the Romanian market, doing a little bit of commercial. Actually, our biggest project was a commercial center, industrial projects, offices, and of course residential, which from the beginning was our key focus for our group. The last more than 10 years, we have been focused only to residential projects. And the previous project that we finalized was Amber Gardens, was a project in Tunari area, again, very close to the current location of Amber Forest. It was a project developed in 5 hectares. It was a passive house project designed from the very beginning within this vision that we were having as a company regarding sustainability and regarding the proper way of life and living. And this was way previously of COVID and of several other milestones, unfortunately, happening for humankind. Then COVID came, working like a catalyst, accelerating the existing trends that we saw that they were there, and we are talking about having a proper community, neighborhood, and ecosystem that our families will be able to raise their children as we were all raised in Romania, in Greece, and I believe in the vast majority of the countries several decades ago, with a very strong feeling of safety, a very strong feeling of the neighborhood, being able to play with children that were on the next door and taking the bikes outside and playing with the ball in the parks or in the streets. And this is what we are trying to actually have in the vision from the beginning and to deliver. We have talked up to today with more than 10,000 families and users, and we have seen that the feedback has been really indeed willing to go with sustainability, but at the same time with a full, complete infrastructure, ecosystem, community. So this is, I believe, what it makes a big difference to our project. Being able to provide in 31 hectares, which is now Amber Forest, a full community. This is what it's nowadays called the 15-minute city, but this is what we were all believing when we were children several decades ago, not being a luxury walking towards school, but being able to go on foot and not with a car and being stuck with traffic. So we have a kindergarten, we have a school, we have a collaboration with Verita International School, I believe the top school in the Romanian boundaries, providing this type of high quality education. We have a Pescario Sports and Club for all the activities, sports activities, swimming pool, interior, semi-Olympic pool, exterior leisure pool, tennis courts, paddle courts, spa, gym, and other types of activities. We have a polyclinic, again, for things that somebody would be needing to have needing the consultancy of a medical doctor, some blood tests, or maybe an X-ray or an MRI, going towards, of course, the Agora, which has a full living retail parts of several restaurants. We'll be having 5 restaurants. We'll be having a fresh food market, a supermarket, ice cream, macelleria, bruteria, an open-air cinema, playgrounds included in the building, and also exterior for the children, 5-hectare park, bike lanes, running lanes, a co-working hub that, again, we all saw how changed it is the working environment nowadays. And the vast majority of our clients, they are using it, and they will be using it in a daily basis, not only the work from home, but work from maybe close to home with an environment that you can also be more social, being able to socialize and meet other people, change also the scenery. Sometimes many of our clients, they do have rather young, let's say, children, and when they're back from school or kindergarten, they're able to focus better going towards this type of an environment, a co-working hub. So we received all the feedback from the real market, understanding their needs, what type of restaurants, how often they will be going to the co-working hub, what type of houses, what type of apartments, and being able to design, develop a full community, delivering answers to their needs. We are proceeding with much less than half of the CUT that we could be building. So we are building much less in order to be able to provide the community we want. As I said earlier, with wide and generous streets and pavements and green areas, more than 5 hectares are on the public green areas within the project, and providing not only a home, but also a way of living for the families that they choose to raise their children in our project.
And you were saying, Alex, before the beginning of the show that the commercial facilities and the sports ones will be can be used by non-residents, so to speak. So anyone actually could use these facilities from the area, or is it just for the residents? If you can explain this concept a bit.
Of course, very correct. So there's a 4-lane street that is connecting currently in Decembrie, the main street that's connecting to Naria and Otopeni, that it exits to the Cintura. So we have a 4-lane street going direct to the Cintura of Bucharest, passing through the middle of our project. And this is how it was designed from the very beginning with collaboration with the authorities. And from this main street, all the retail components, all the open source components, and I'm talking about sports, with Pescariu, I'm talking about education with Verit, I'm talking about the clinic, I'm talking about the Agora area with all the amenities and facilities. They will be able to have access, everybody from everywhere. So this is an open area, accessed from everyone that wants to come from Bucharest or abroad in order to have this, use this type of facilities. While all the residential part is only for the people that they chose to live within Amber Forest. This is quite interesting because we saw that there is a huge, indeed, need of retail areas that the north part of Bucharest, even if it has been exploding in development the last several years with families living, willing to go and raise their children, it does not have the proper deliveries of retail space. And I will give you a very, very interesting for me example. On the retail area in our target location, as it was done the analysis from a third party in our location, there are 18 square meters of strategic patrats per 1,000 inhabitants. This number in Bucharest per 1,000 inhabitants again is 184. In other areas, including Timișoara, it's exceeding 200, going even above to 300 square meters of retail area per 1,000 inhabitants, while in other peer cities all over Europe is always around 220 and 280 square meters. This is the average. So the 18 square meters that there is currently in this area, while there is a lot of population and people with disposable income needing to go to restaurants, needing to go to the co-working hub, to the supermarket, to the fresh food market, to the playground, so to everything that is needed, we will be creating this heart, let's say, this retail, educational, health and sports heart, and that we believe it will be a point of attraction from all over.
And of this commercial area, have you managed to sign already with certain retailers or to secure contracts with, I don't know, certain restaurants? Because for the sports area, I understand that you have Pescariu, and also for the polyclinic as well. I would be curious if you've signed already with a medical operator.
So for the entire retail, let's say, part, and I'm covering here school, sports, clinic, and the entire 10,000 square meters of the restaurants, fresh food market, supermarket, excuse me, and so on and so forth, we have signed already with more than half. So it's already signed the leases. We are still in the process of obtaining the building permit that we are expecting to obtain and start the works by the end of the year. But it has been a huge demand, even from the stakeholders that they are the operators, that they are seeing the need of extending their presence in a community in the area of North, in the area of Tunari, and in a community such as Amber, that is providing a nice period for them with 2,500 of clients that they would be appreciating their services, because all the services and the operators that we are bringing are based on the questionnaires and the understandings we have from our clients, but on the same time, from the more than 200,000 people that they are within 15-minute drive, the catchment area, that right now they do have all the needs, but they do not have where to go and spend their time with their families and acquire services or products that they daily need.
I see. And how is the development planned? Are you going in parallel with the residential construction and the commercial one, or are you going to go faster with the residential units and then the commercial one will follow?
In total, there's 715 residential units, and there are the areas, as I mentioned earlier, on the retail part. We have already started not only the construction, but also the delivery of the first units towards the market, towards our clients. And we are expecting by the end of 2027 to have finalized all the construction and the deliveries of all residential units, and on the same time have finalized and delivered being in operation all the retail components of the sports club, the school, the health clinic, and of course the Agora, the main, let's say, center in the of amenities and facilities within Amber Forest.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in about 3 years now, this is the timeline that you're estimating. What about the residential units? I understand you sold around 500, and which is quite a number, no? Given that it's two-thirds, something like that, of the project. What type of buyers or what type of clients do you attract in your project?
So indeed, we are quite happy and proud to say that we have sold more than 500 residential units already. Until now, the vast majority was based on our initial business plan, was end users and families that they have they see the value that we are providing to the quality of life and to their families. As I said earlier, raising their children within families with similar values, because whoever decided to enter in our project has a very specific way of views regarding life and regarding sustainability and regarding the elements that we feel that they are very core and the basic through the vision of our company and on the same time through the vision of our clients. So until now, it was the vast majority end users and rather young families that they already have young children and they want to increase even more the number of the family members within Amber Forest. And having said this, we have seen that recently, following our initial business plan, which was, as I said, first to the end users, now we are seeing that there is a lot of also requests from investors. So we went a bit different than some other developers are proceeding, which is now that we have the real community and we have the real end users within Amber Forest, we believe, and indeed this is the case, that there will be investors coming in order to rent or in order to acquire an apartment further on of renting and at one point with a capital appreciation reselling it, because they feel and they see that there is a real market for them. So when they will be buying today an apartment, they know that 2 years later, 3 years later, when the entire project will be finalized and will be in the full scale, all the 31 hectares under finally developed and delivered, there will be a capital appreciation and there will be a need from real families that they want to live over there, acquiring a home or renting a home. I can even say it's quite interesting that we saw a very big interest and we fine-tuned, because the market's always dynamic, we even fine-tuned ourselves the project on seeing families that they are buying a house for them and their children, their young children, but at the same time willing to have their socri, their bunici very close to them, but not necessarily under the same roof. So they were asking us if we have apartments for them to acquire, and some they did have the budget to acquire a house and also acquire an apartment for the bunici, for the socri, that they would be 100 meters away, supporting them and helping them with the raising of the grandchildren. But some of them, they do not have the budget, but they do have the need. So they're asking us about leasing. If we have apartments for rent, which we do not. And this is exactly where it comes very nice, the connection between an investor that he would be coming and he would be seeing indeed that there is this need and this request, and he would be acquiring this type of apartments, for instance, and then he would be delivering and offering for rent to the grandparents. He will be delivering an offer for rent to the schools to the teachers of the school, to the professors of the school, that they do need to come and live ideally for them within this type of community. But again, they do not have the school, the business plan to acquire apartments for them, but they do have the need to rent. Same goes with managers of the sports club or the restaurant. And this is how the full community is created. Or friends that they're coming from Constanza, from Sibiu, from Athens for a long weekend, for a week, or again, other people, again, maybe grandparents or nannies that they maybe are needed for a specific period of time when a newborn child is born, and for the first year maybe they need support. So we are offering this type of let's say somehow service, which is not a proper service, but we saw the need and we created the product that can address this exact need of our end users, of our clients.
Yes, this is interesting. It's an interesting idea, and if it's a possibility, then you should obviously take it into account. About the sales, I would also like to ask you, how did the sales go this year? Because there are various discussions on the market. Is the market slow? Is the market seeing a bit of a decrease in sales? How do you feel it specifically in your project for the first 3 months of this year, let's say?
Indeed. In all business, of course, there are, I feel, two elements that are very important. One is the actual product, and also the other one is the timing. With the knowledge that we are having today and with the experience that we had, people trusted our vision and came. I will even mention the number that prior to initiation of works, we had sold close to 100 units because people were appreciating our experience within the Romanian market. They were seeing what we promised and what we delivered within Amber Gardens, which is a smaller type of community. But again, it was a community that we kept our promises to 100% to our clients. And they trusted that this would be the same that we would be doing within Amber Forest. So I would tell you that timing for us was also very good. We have reached more than the critical mass on the market. Do understand that developers with experience and with being trustworthy, they will be able to deliver their promises. So we actually have absolutely no problem on sales. On the contrary, we are currently more struggling on the other topic that perhaps we discussed today or not, which is the construction, to be able to keep up with proper quality, the construction rhythm that we want to proceed and not to follow back to our timeframes. But sales-wise, we are very happy and proud seeing that all stakeholders, clearly starting from the end users and the clients, they are appreciating our product, and we have an increasing number of leads. And even more importantly, from the leads that we are having, there is a very big percentage that they become actual buyers and clients of our project.
That's nice to hear. I would like to also ask you about the 50 minutes city or the 50 minutes projects, where you have all the facilities. There are so many projects that are promising this, but only few, I would say, actually deliver. How do you feel about your projects, about your development? Are you going to deliver exactly what you promised, and are you confident that it's going to be exactly this kind of it will follow this kind of concept?
For us, it is crucial to follow through our promises from the very beginning of the company. So 21 years ago, when we started, we tried and we managed to have a vision, to promise to our clients, to our stakeholders, everything that we believe that we would be delivering, and actually we delivered. So obviously with Amber Forest is again an example that we would be more than comfortable saying that we will be delivering exactly what we have promised. And this is something that it's very, very important for us, because we are having plans, obviously, to stay in the market. We consider ourselves as a player that we will be having several decades ahead of us within the Romanian market. And we do understand that in business, the promises and keeping the promises and the vision is very, very important. So for us, it's ultra crucial to 100% keep the promises that we had initially told to our client, to deliver a product as such. Here, I'm happy to say that there are more stakeholders that they're appreciating and seeing the vision that we are having. We have been very currently managed to receive platinum LEED certification for cities and communities, and we are the fourth project in Europe, the first in Romania to receive so, and the fourth project in Europe to be able to receive so. And this is something very, very important, very objective, with a lot of work on the design process, on the development process, in order to be able to achieve this platinum level. from leads. And it's part of the initial promises that we had, the specific, not to our clients, but to ourselves and to our internal team. And we are very happy and proud being able to receive it. We're having the certification from ROGBC, the Romanian Green Council, as we were the first project in Romania that we received the Green Home certification from them within Amber Gardens numerous years ago. We will be coming, of course, with Amber Forest receiving it for our units. And it's very nice seeing the stakeholders appreciating the sustainability that we have promised and we are delivering. I will also mention that, which is for me, it was quite interesting. We, as I said, we know quite well our clients. We have talked to more than 10,000 end users, real families, that some of them, they become clients, some not, but they were looking and examining our project. And we managed to understand the reason that they bought or they were thinking about buying with an Amber Forest, based on specific questions that we had, that we managed to receive their feedback and answers. Number one answer, and number one reason that they bought or they were thinking about buying a house in Amber was the full community, and number two was sustainability. Both of these two elements were actually initial promises and visions that we were having within our company, within our internal team, and of course towards our clients, and we are keeping them. And it's very nice seeing the market going towards this direction and actually appreciating what we feel that we saw coming numerous years ago. When we started, and I remember again, quite interesting, this analysis, we saw that only 9% of the people of Bucharest were living out of the city limits and 91% were living within the city limits. While in other peer cities, this number was 20, 80, 30, 70, 40, 60, or even almost to half. And we saw that this is something that would be changing. It is already changed, has already changed since that 91%. But this is something that indeed more and more people are looking towards a proper lifestyle, a quality living.
Outside of Bucharest.
Happening outside of Bucharest, but within full communities, not just a house or an apartment outside the city limits. You need to have the 15-minute city, as you were saying earlier, Amelia. You need to have the entire product, the ecosystem, a 360 degrees product that is addressing the needs of the families.
I was just reading something very interesting this morning. It was the opinion of economic consultant about he was telling about the fact that the general mayor Dan Nicușor has kind of halted a lot of residential projects in Bucharest, but in doing so, he prompted many investors to go for the Ilfov, so for the regions, for the outskirts of Bucharest. So in doing so, he stimulated basically the constructions in Ilfov area. So do you feel that you said that more and more people are actually going for this kind of living in places like Tunari or, in this outskirts of Bucharest. Looking at the way it's developed, do you like what you see? And if you could tell us what has changed for the better and what has changed for the worse?
We had the vision of exiting the city center of Bucharest, that we had several projects, especially in Sector 1 in Bucharest. It was 10 years ago. It was the end of 2014, when we started the design and the analysis of the market within Amber Gardens at that moment. And then, of course, we received all the knowledge and the feedback from the market, and we moved on with Amber Forest after Amber Gardens. So it was way before any type of issues on permitting process Bucharest or other cities may have had. We saw that indeed this is the area that we felt that we could be giving the maximum of our knowledge and of our experience, providing added value to the product that we would be designing, developing, and delivering at the end. We believe, being 21 years here in Romania, we have seen the entire market from the very beginning as it was and how it's very beautifully changing, and the market is more educated. And I'm talking only about the end users, which is very important. I'm talking also about the banks. I'm talking about type of investors, that they are looking towards a more sustainable product. They are looking towards a product that, I will give you an example. Almost 10 years ago with the Amber Gardens, when we had our first visits, it was a passive house institute delivered product. We had all the bioclimatic design principles, a lot of technologies, solar water collectors, photovoltaic panels, heat pumps, heat recovery units, specific type of isolations regarding water, regarding thermal, regarding wind, airtight homes. The market was coming, and they were not really understanding, because it was not ready about all this. They were seeing the house and they were saying, okay, after 1.5 hour visit, because this was the average of the sales, let's say, visit, they were saying, how much is the price of the house? I like it, I will afford it, or I cannot afford it. Nowadays, we are proceeding about the clients that they're asking, do we have a heat pump? Did we follow bioclimatic design principles? How is the orientation of the house? How are the details regarding the thermal mass or the windows and the profiles? Are they triple glazed? Are you bringing fresh air in the house with a heat recovery unit? There are many more details that the market has been, technical details and design details, that the market has changed. So this is if you zoom in a house, and indeed I have seen more and more, answering to your question, the market being better, developing a better product. But zooming out, and for me this is even more interesting, is that you see it from the level of a community, you see it from a level of a neighborhood. We all have seen, I'm pretty sure, in all the areas of Romania, Bucharest, and I will go even on the north part of Bucharest, when we first came, that luxury and posh in theory areas of Bucharest, they were first constructing houses or constructing in general, and then designing the infrastructure, where the street will pass, where the pavement will pass. There is no place for a pavement, so actually you see that the fence of a house is actually scratching the mirror of the car that just passed outside, because there are actually no pavement.
Yes, there are many examples like that.
Security issues, safety issues, architectural and design issues regarding how beautiful luxury is to live in this type of an area. Not to mention again the construction start, and then you have residential. Next to it, you may have industrial. Next to it, you may have an office or a retail. Completely anarchy, a chaos. Going towards areas that they are still very close to Bucharest. In Tunari, we are 14 kilometers, 14 kilometers from Piazza Victoriei. So you are very close to the city center. In any other city of Europe, if you say you are 14 kilometers from the city center, they will obviously consider that it's part of the city, as it will be, of course, in a few years also in Tunari, for instance. But being able, since it's not yet fully developed, and you have, for instance, Number Forest, a 31 hectare of empty land, you have the capacity with a proper vision and the communication with the authorities and with the architectural team and with the engineers team and with the understanding of the market, having the radar open on from the sales team what the market is asking, and keeping this feedback very solid to the actual vision of each company. And I'm talking about our vision regarding sustainable community. You are able to design in these 31 hectares a beautiful and unique project. You're able to design properly streets and pavements and green areas, and green areas next to the pavements and parks, and creating the coefficiency of where you're building, what type of residence, what type of homes, what type of houses, where you're putting the retail part. So you create actually a proper infrastructure, a proper community, an ecosystem, as it should have been properly developed. And this is what I see, that it could be the beauty from any serious developer, with understanding the needs of the market and having a vision, providing top quality and solutions to the life of hundreds or thousands of people that they will be living within such a community.
And which ones do you think that are the main spots or the hotspots of residential development in Bucharest and in Ilfov at the time being?
For us, it's obvious that we chose the north part of Bucharest. We chose Tunari. It is an area that it has access to the 4 main channels going to the city center. I'm talking about the Neunu, I'm talking about Pipera Tonari, I'm talking about A3, of course, and about the Cintura, that we have even direct access towards the Cintura. So having all the four main channels in such a vicinity to the project, and on the same time being able to create the community within your boundaries that you are wishing, you're having combination of this 15-minute city with amenities and facilities that you do not really even need to take your car. You can go walking or with your bicycle to all these types of, as I said earlier, sports and education and health and retail, to do your shopping and to have the vast majority of your daily needs. And then indeed, when you do need to go to the office in the center, to the opera, to a cinema, you have the best possible ways in order to reach it. And this is what we call inside the company as Monday to Sunday home and happy. So you have the majority of the things that you wish for yourself, for your partner, for your children to have. So you create a beautiful environment, repeating again, which for me it's ultra crucial, it's very crucial, next to families that they have similar principles of how they want to raise their children and their families. And I think it's very, very important. Creating the neighborhood that we all had several decades ago, but on the same time, you are able to go to the city center when you need to go to the office. And it's an important shift of mentality when the office nowadays is not anymore, I need to go to the office. It is, I want to go to the office. And this mentality, living in a neighborhood that it provides you all the rest, and on the same time, internally, you shifted the way of thinking that, yeah, great, I want to go to the office today to see my colleagues, to socialize, to partner, to do things that I'm able to do over there while in the house. Today, I do not want to do them or I cannot do them. And on the same time, you have the hybrid method with even the co-working hub and the working, let's say, within Amber that you are able to provide. So clearly, north part of Bucharest, and Tunari is obviously what we saw that it has a lot of sense for us developing.
You were talking about going to the office or going to town. Is there also public transport in place for this kind of access, or you just have to drive and that's the only transportation mean?
No, of course, there is public transportation that is passing, as I said, from this 4-lane street that is connecting into the Dicembre with the Cintura. With public transportation, this was one of the main reasons that we wanted also to have the street passing to give life to all the retail components with public transportation, that they would be delivered. We will be having also within the project several other, I think, interesting and pioneering ways of commuting, not only about specific type of shuttle transportation from Amber Forest specific areas, but on the same time co-sharing with cars, that you will be able to have an electric fleet, and then you would be having a pay-as-you-go concept of no needing to have a second car in the family. Maybe one car is enough, and then whenever is needed, the second one, have a co-sharing electric fleet that you will be paying for the kilometers and time that you would be using it. So there are ways that we believe that we would be able to combine and offer to our clients the public transportation. Obviously it's a must, but on the same time, different ways of commuting.
Alex, how do you think a project can be profitable and sustainable at the same time? And is building a sustainable project more costly? Because at the end of the day, people have to pay for the houses, and I bet this is one of the questions that they ask you. How much will it cost me?
Very, very interesting question indeed. I will answer from the second part. Yes, it is more costly. In order to provide a sustainable product, and I'm not referring only to the house, which indeed the construction cost of building a sustainable house, it is more costly than a standard type of house, but I will be also referring to the cost that you are having in order to deliver, construct, develop a sustainable community. It is more costly. Costly that there are direct costs that I'm referring to, construction costs for specific type of materials, specific type of technologies and solutions that they do have a cost. I'm talking about indirect costs, about land that you will be sacrificing or investing, call it as you want, in order to create a sustainable product and project. I repeat, in Amber Forest, we could have been building twice the square meters, the coefficient that we are building. It would be a different product. So when we decided to have much more green areas and many more square meters of pavements and generous streets and not so tall buildings, but very human scale buildings, not only the houses, but also the apartment buildings, again, I'm referring to, it has a cost. So yes, it is more costly. On the same time, I do believe that if it is in the core, in the DNA of the company, a vision that it has to do with sustainability, the market today, it has been much more educated the last years, and they are asking for a better quality. They are asking for a more sustainable project, not necessarily using the word sustainability per se, even if I have to say I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised and amazed when I saw that the answer of why they came to Amber Forest was number 2 reason, second reason was sustainability. But I'm talking about things that people necessarily don't realize calling it sustainable, but they do realize when they're coming in Amber Gardens, a finished product, how wide are the streets, how nice it is to walk, to live in this type of a community, which you have big green areas and facilities and playgrounds and tennis and basketball, not to mention then the vision of Amber Forest, which you have completely everything. So yes, while it is more costly, the market today is willing to appreciate the difference, and there are families and clients that they do understand, and they're willing to give this difference. Not firstly, it's not a big difference, and secondly, this difference in the decades of life when you're buying a home, it is much more than depreciated properly. So you're having at the end of the story savings. You're having, yes, today on the first day you may be needing to buy a house which is a bit more expensive, but within the period of the lifetime of the house, you are paying much less utilities, which is a huge cost on a monthly, on a daily basis that the family is doing. Not only what has happened recently with the last few years with the wars and the utility prices being completely abnormal, but utilities are completely different in a sustainable home. And here I will make a parenthesis saying Amber Gardens, designed in 2015, was not only an NZ home, near zero energy building, that theoretically the last 2 years all buildings should be like this and there should not be any building permit or any reception without a project being per se, and it's not yet respected, but it will be shortly respected. So we were not in NZ level from 2015, our houses were net positive. So being able to actually produce money in the household within the utility cost, because for instance the photovoltaic panels and the entire design of the house has been done in such a way. There are things that they are not costly at all. Bioclimatic design principles. You do not need, there's zero cost. You need just to have the knowledge in order to design from the very beginning the apartment, the house, and of course the entire community, to have all the bioclimatic design principles, to have light in the house in order to have a beautiful house full of light, but not have sun in the house in summer times, but on the same time have sun in the house in winter times in order to heat the house, not needing the gas or the electricity for heating it. And this is simple. Where is the sun in the house? It's lower, it's higher in summer times, it's lower in winter times. So you create properly the shadowing that you need with some consola or pergolas or trees that you're putting in order that they're losing their leaves in the winter time, but they're creating a shadow in summertime, so they're blocking the sun, and they're letting the sun in winter to heat the house. This, it has zero cost. And yet again, utility costs, local and property taxes that in many communities like in Tunari, they are discounted when you have a green home, green mortgages and proper green mortgages that again, you have a better interest rate towards the bank, and of course a completely different higher quality of life living in such a house. So at the end of the story, it's indeed much cheaper in the long run acquiring this house because you are saving money in the long run.
And I'm curious because you were talking about green mortgages. How, if you take a percentage, how many of your buyers are actually buying a property with cash, so with their own savings, and how many are taking a loan from the bank?
The vast majority of our clients are going with a mortgage. And I'm talking, of course, about the buyers I was referring earlier to, the end users, the families that they are coming. The vast majority of them going for the mortgage. They are not going to the maximized number of mortgage, going to 85%, for instance, or having 15% equity. In most of the cases, also based on our commercial policy, we're having a minimum of 20% of equity receiving. So they are going to 80% or even less from the mortgage. And of course, the talks that they have the last short period of time, which is what I was saying earlier also with investors, that they will go, then of course it is different. But for the end users, that there are more than 500 families that they bought, the majority of them, the vast majority of them, they are going and they are having talks with financial institutions, with banks, in order to receive a mortgage for their home.
And talking about investors, how much have you sold to investors of the total of the project? If you haven't.
Right now, if not mistaken, it's 98% to end users and less than 2% to investors. Actually, it's zero. But I have seen now that we started the delivery of the houses and seeing how the actual product is being created and the feeling that you are having, the fact that investors are coming because they do see the need. They do see the need of renting. That in our business plan as a developer, I want to sell, I don't want to rent, but they do have the appetite and the capacity of acquiring products and then leasing them or selling them 3 years later when it will be full capital appreciation with the entire community being done. But right now, the vast majority is end users.
Thank you. Alex, you know there are many projects on the market which claim to be sustainable. And I was wondering, what kind of tips would you give buyers and users? How can they differentiate between something that is really sustainable and something that is just, some words? How can they make an educated choice when they decide to buy a property? If you can give us, 3 main tips, what should they look at?
Interesting, very interesting question indeed. I think I would go with an example. Whoever came with an Amber Forest as a serious lead and potential client and came with a friend, a relative, or even as a paid consultant, being an architect, an engineer, or somebody within having knowledge in the real estate market, I think almost everybody bought. Because the answers that they receive from our team, and I'm not talking now only about the sales team, that of course they are fully and properly educated, even for technical questions up to a limit, but even details that they saw during construction, the answers that they receive from our engineers, from our architects, and our team in general, they fully understood the level and the quality of the design, or the development, and of course on the construction, because we have numerous types of houses in several phases, from completely delivered and constructed to houses that they are now starting the construction. So one would be able to see a house within several stages of construction, and with the answers that he would be receiving from us, he would feel that he has a proper knowledge to acquire or not a house. So I would say that the number one element would be to bring an expert and see way beyond the finishings. Many clients, as I said, we are here since 2003. In the very beginning, our first projects, the only thing that was interesting is how much the price per square meter and what type of parquet or Grecia faianza you have used. Meaning the market since then has step by step, but in a steady growth, managed to educate more and more. And I brought again the example with 10 years ago with Amber Gardens and Amber Forest today, with the heat pumps or the heating and cooling. When we put in a system at that moment in Gardens of Rehau, heating and cooling the house with not only the heat pump, but also with circulating cold water or hot water in the ceiling of the house. It was in order to cool the house and feel you don't have anywhere the breeze or the air blowing, so there's no cooling, for instance, through convection, it's through radiation. It's like entering in a subsole, entering in a church that is chill, but you don't have anywhere any objects or anywhere throwing air. And many people, they cannot sleep because of their condition. Your throat is dry or your neck is stiff. Now in the Amber Forest, we are the first project going with tabs, thermal activated building structure. So within the placa, for example, of the etage 2, so of etage 1, above the bedrooms, I mean, the placa of etage 1, you are having pipes again circulating cold water in summer times to cool the bedrooms and have again this feeling. 10 years ago, together with all the other examples, fresh air, etc., it was not really the case. Right now, the market is much more educated, they're asking. So if you bring somebody that has even more educational knowledge because he's in a segment and asking to the constructor, to the developer, specific questions and demanding answers on this direction, demanding answers that they are even objective, having to do with audits, having to do with designs, having understanding how the houses are tight, how the house is protected from thermal insulation and water infiltrations and all the details is very important. And at the same time, being able to appreciate objective standards, like the LEED standard that I was saying earlier, that we were the 4th project in Europe and the first in Romania receiving the LEED Platinum certification of citizen communities, or the ROGBC standard about giving it for a green home. These are not certifications and standards that any serious organization like the ones I mentioned that would be giving to any developer. Because
Yes.
it's very easy to say sustainable, it's very easy to say words, but not being able to actually give arguments about this. And I even will go with an example. I remember a few years ago, even today, but I think it was a few years ago, a big trend about the smart home. So everybody was going with a smart home, which is great, has nothing to do with sustainability. Many people in the market, they were actually combining, is it a smart home with, is it a sustainable home? It's great being a smart home, but it's completely irrelevant, for instance. So I believe that the market is more and more educated, and this type of objective criteria, if being asked, one should be receiving these answers and accordingly decide if this is a proper product for him or her.
So this, I know the LEED certificate is usually granted for or requested by office buildings or industrial or retail projects. So it's something new to hear that you are planning to, or you've applied for this certification for a residential project. Do you think it will help you or it will help your project for the future development?
Again, it has to do, indeed, I do believe, and again, I believe it has to do with the proper vision of each developer and each company. So our vision has to do with building sustainable communities, sustainable mixed-use projects and ecosystems, and having a LEED certification, especially on platinum level, together with us, it's something which is really unique, and indeed would be able to provide not only towards the market, and I'm talking about the end users, the details and the level of our project. It's about all stakeholders. It's about financing institutions. It's about banks that they do understand what it is and they are appreciating and understanding automatically the level of it. But at the same time, it is giving an internal, let's say, guidance on things that they need to be done in order to receive this type of certification. So even within our internal team, for instance, of architects, that we were sweating and trying for numerous trimesters to provide all the details of this development and design, it was somehow as a guidance of things that we need to do in order to reach this level, and this was automatically helping our internal procedures to create a product in order to create this platinum level of certification.
Thank you. And I will end with a question regarding your future investment plans. Will you go beyond Bucharest and Ilfov, or is the capital offering you enough business opportunities for the moment?
We are indeed looking towards our pipeline and our next steps. We do know, I feel very well, the market of Bucharest and of Ilfov, and this is mainly where we are looking to do our next solid step, always with being very safe and very secure and with solid steps moving towards the future and our future. I cannot say that it would be impossible to go out of Bucharest of info, but we feel that currently this is a market that we do know, understand, and appreciate to the maximum, and this is most probably where we will be doing our next step as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Alex, and good luck with your plans, with the future plans.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you today. Have a great week.
You too. N-aș vrea să închei emisiunea de astăzi fără a vă reaminti că evenimentul a fost realizat cu susținerea partenerilor noștri, One United Properties, Automobile Bavaria, Carrefour, Nespresso, TEILOR, Chronolink, CPI Property Group, Forbes România, Banca Transilvania și Garanti BBVA. Vă doresc tuturor o zi frumoasă în continuare și o săptămână minunată. La revedere!